Hey, day 6 of our Beat the Binge group. Okay, so I hope yesterday wasn't a little too much for you. And I hope that you absorbed it all without judgment of me or of yourself. Both of those things have to be let go to be able to beat this addiction. So today I want to talk about my final step. And if you know me at all or have been following me at all, then you know that this step just happened. And that was the ultimate reset. Let me preface this by saying, I did not create this group to try to sell the ultimate reset to you. I do not feel like the ultimate reset is necessarily... Actually, before I say that, I was about to say, I don't think the ultimate reset is necessarily for everyone. Yeah, I do. But I don't think it's necessarily for everyone right now. And also depends on medical issues, what doctors have said, blah, 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 blah. But what the ultimate reset did for me, I do think is for everyone. So let me elaborate. As a Beachbody coach, I knew there was this cleanse that had been, that was out there and had been for the whole entire time that I was coaching, that I've been coaching. Sorry, I got distracted by my hair. And I knew that at some point I was going to want to tackle it, but the thought of restricting, especially, not only did Brain Over Binge teach me that I shouldn't restrict my diet, but it's basically, I just knew it in my gut that's, having an eating disorder, you should not be restricting. I actually have a friend that has suffered from anorexia that would tell me, stop following meal plans. So anyway, so the thought of vegan, it just seemed highly restrictive. And it is, actually, really is. You're not eating, especially by week 3, anything but fruits and vegetables. So I was terrified. But as I was trying on vegan and learning that meat just wasn't what I wanted to eat, I was like, you know what? I've tried every damn thing else. Not seeing any results with my body because I'm too afraid to cut out the crap because I'm afraid I'll binge eat. I'm eating all kinds of crap, even if I'm not binging on it. And so therefore, I still have this extra 10 to 15 pounds of fluff that I'd really like to go away so that I can actually be the coach people want me to be. That's the pressure I was putting on myself, by the way. So I decided to go for it. Well, I was terrified. I was so terrified. I was scared it was going to be hard. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to say no to foods, that my urges would kick back in. Actually, the urges never went away. Let me rephrase that. Before the ultimate reset, my urges to binge never went away. I just was fighting them, ignoring them, and not reacting or, acting on them. So, I got the ultimate reset in enough time to where I could really read about it, soak it in. This is one of those programs, actually is the only program that I know of where Beachbody puts you in a challenge group. So it's not just a coach like me, it's actually Beachbody. So I was able to ask questions and prepare myself and get ready. I was so surprised and fortunate enough to have Terry join me with doing it. I didn't even expect that. But I told him some of the things that we do isn't going to happen anymore. Like nighttime TV, because you're up here eating cakes and shit, and I need to go to bed so that I won't eat them. And I think when he realized how much of an influence he is on me with that was when he said, okay, I need to commit to this as well. So even as even as we embarked on the first week, I realized I was afraid. I was just waiting on these voices to start in my head. You were good yesterday. You can have that. You know what I mean? Especially, I had to quit caffeine. I'm a freaking caffeine nut. And there was not one. I don't know. I would love to say it was the supplements. Maybe it was. Maybe it was drinking distilled water, mineralized distilled water. All of that stuff, maybe played a key. It was immediate. There was not one single urge ever for me. I didn't have a craving. I did not want anything but what I was eating on this cleanse. And it blew my mind. It still blows my mind. I'm 3 weeks post cleanse. And because I committed to doing what they recommend, which is going in reverse, which this isn't about the cleanse, so I'm not going to go into what that means. But basically, you don't just all of a sudden, I finished, I'm going to have a cheat meal. You know what I mean? I think because I realized within week 1 what my problem was. What my biggest trigger, my biggest issue with binge eating has been my entire life. So, bump the emotional eating, right? Even now, like I've got something kind of scaring me right now that I'm a bit anxious about, that I'm not talking about anywhere. Normally, Blakely would have crawled into a hole on the couch and eaten her face off because anxiety. Bump that. That's not why I binge ate. Bump every single thing I had been taught. It's fucking sugar. Sugar. It's simple as sugar. Why? So, it was within day 1, I think, really, that I realized this. I was withdrawing and detoxing in such a nature. So I had actually quit caffeine. I was expecting a caffeine headache, right? I had actually quit caffeine 6 days prior because of being sick. I didn't have a headache. I was like a freaking pregnant woman. I was freaking gagging and almost vomiting all day long on day 1. I'm outside at my job trying to hold it together, and my coworkers are like, "You sure you need to be doing this cleanse?" And I'm like, "Yes." It was immediate that I knew my body was detoxing. I think probably because I've had enough drugs in my life to know what that feels like. That's what a hangover is in a way. And I also have friends that are addicts that said, yes, that's what's happening to you right now. And so I just committed. I didn't stop because of the vomiting. And by the end of day 2, and definitely by day 3, I was fine. It was like a fog was lifted and no cravings, no urges. And it's because my body was done with sugar. And even now, like, there's been a cake at work. I'm sure you might have seen my post that they bought for us because it's our 40-year anniversary birthday, and I didn't even want a piece. I'm not gonna lie. Thinking about it happened. Like walk by, one bite. No, bitch. If you have one bite, every single one of them stupid little voices are gonna pop up into your head for the next, and you're gonna start this binge cycle all over again of restriction, voices, cave, feel awful about myself, binge eat, and over and over and over and over and over. I'm telling you now as we speak, or as you watch, sugar. So, the ultimate reset may not be for you, and you may not be ready for such a commitment. If you want to talk more about it, hit me up. We can figure out if it's something even I recommend for you. Because I don't think, if I hadn't read Brain Over Binge twice, if I hadn't already kicked binging in the bud, it was just, all the steps I've discussed. It was the silencing of the noise of people in my head telling me I needed to eat high protein and low carb constantly. It was this regimented structure I had formed for myself with containers. It was this constant, gotta eat this, gotta eat that, gotta eat it then, gotta eat it now. And even though the ultimate reset provided those 3, like we had 3 meals a day, giant meals, I was never hungry, ever hungry, even in week 3. And you could have a snack. I have no doubt, and I told Terry this because he actually craved meat and sweets. I think it was because I was still drinking Shakeology and he wasn't. I think that contributed to the lack of cravings. But anyway, regardless of if the ultimate reset is your thing, cutting out sugar should be. And I don't think that I could have done that. I don't think I could have followed the ultimate reset without following these steps that just happened. And over the time that it happened, recognizing that I had a problem, stopping restriction, stop dieting, stop telling myself I can or cannot eat this, listening to my body telling me what it likes and dislikes, or even my mind, even my heart, soul. I hate eating animals. I love them. And then stopping artificial ways of making myself feel better. Silencing the noise with weed or alcohol. Learning to do that myself. Then, the ultimate reset. So if you're not ready to commit to the ultimate reset, maybe it would just be eliminating sugar. But personally, if you don't go through that number 2 step of stopping restriction, you're not going to be able to do the ultimate reset. You're not going to be able to eliminate sugar. You're not going to be able to do any cleanse you ever want to do. So recently I've been talking to a chick, and I can't even remember what company it is right now, which is a good thing because I don't want to be like throwing her under the bus or the company under the bus, but I just want to use her experience as an example. So I'm not going to say her name, and I hope that she's okay with this. But she bought some type of cleanse. All I know about it is shakes. She drinks some form of shakes and doesn't really eat. That's restriction. The addiction is, I'm going on a diet. I'm going to eat such and such amount of food. I do this and I'm really good for a very long amount of time, and then I add exercise or something, right? And then body goes, I'm hungry. You're not providing me with fuel. I'm really hungry. Hello? Hey, you, the one that's not eating shit, I need you to fucking feed me. Feed me now. Do not fucking stop feeding me. Those words right there, that your brain, those are signals that are formed in your voice. Whatever that is, that you know the voice. The same words that you say to yourself, I'm going to be good tomorrow. Whatever it is that you say, you have your own inner dialogue. I know I've done it. I've struggled with this for years. It fucking drove me bananas. And I know you know what I'm talking about. That's your brain saying, bitch, I'm hungry. And then you binge eat. And you binge your face off. If you're a binge eater and not a bulimic, you just start restricting again. And then it's this circle. If you're a bulimic, then you vomit. Right after that binge, you vomit it up. Or, in the case of Catherine Hansen that wrote this book, she purged by working out for hours and hours and hours and on end the next day. And then, I'm not going to do it again. I'm never going to binge. At this point, you know something ain't right. I'm not going to binge. I'm not going to binge. I'm not going to binge. Okay, I'm going to eat good. I'm going to eat really good. I got to drop 10 pounds for a wedding. I'm eating about 1,200 calories, maybe 13. I got to work out today. Bitch, you need to eat. It's an addiction. It's a habit. Read the book. Okay? Last step for me was the ultimate reset and stopping sugar. I will never touch sugar again. In closing, last thing I'm going to say, and then tomorrow I want to post a recap. I know I said this was going to be a 5-day group. I think it turned into longer. But okay. But I will never touch sugar again. Ever. I don't care what I have to do. When I first decided to stop drinking and stop smoking, I can remember telling my boyfriend, basically, if you continue to drink, we can't be together. I'm not trying to be a controlling girlfriend. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just saying for me, and for me to quit drinking, I can't be with someone that drinks and parties. I just can't. And that's on you. If you still want to go out and drink and do things, I don't blame you for that at all. That's cool. But for me, I can't do it. And he didn't get it. Like at first, especially considering our age differences, he felt like, I was trying to control him. And I get that. If I'd have had somebody tell me that at his age, or even fucking 5 years ago, I'd have been like, you don't tell me what to do. Peace out. And I wanted to give him that option, because this wasn't a decision I was making for him. It was a decision I was making for me. And I remember saying to him, I will protect my sobriety with every single thing I have. And I meant it. I meant it. I meant, you will not see me put myself in situations where I thought I would cave. You will not see me, this is it for me. And when I realized that sugar was the ultimate addiction, the ultimate problem, was when I was like, I'm treating it just like a freaking alcohol. Just like I would if I was a cocaine addict. Just as a cigarette. I will protect my recovery with everything I have. You can buy me a birthday cake. I'm not eating it. You can bring me freaking sugar-free ice cream. I'm not eating it. Because it's not just sugar, it's artificial sugars as well. Because those trigger your brain, just as if it was sugar. I am not putting that shit in my mouth. There are other ways to eat things that are sweet, that are healthy. Yep, I've learned how. I make Shakeology ice cream. I'm going to have it tonight for my dessert, and I can't wait. I am done with beating myself up for some little stupid-ass white powder. And that's freedom. That is freedom. When you realize it's no longer a restriction, and it's literally something that you don't want. I don't want sugar. I don't want alcohol, because I know what alcohol did to me. I know what alcohol did to my loved ones, right? I don't want sugar because I know what it's done to me in my whole life. I don't know if you've got Netflix, but the last thing I'm going to say for this video, and I didn't mean to get emotional, but I mean, it's freedom. But the last thing I'm going to say, if you have Netflix, you may have heard me say this before, but watch Hungry for Change. That shows you what sugar really is. And I'd seen that before, but it wasn't until I completely eliminated it from my life that I realized really what that meant. I feel like I have so much more to say. So I'm gonna try to make one more video in closing. I hope this group has helped you in one way or another, and I really, 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 really hope that you are able to know and learn the freedom that I have been able to obtain.